Good evening, David and Jared. Thank you for joining us here at Outlier this evening, both from Mojo Soup. So we'll hear a bit about what you guys do and everything. But just wanted to start off with, what does being an outlier mean to you guys?
Oh, it's a great question. I think being an outlier to me means, well, evidence that you're an outlier would be that in an interaction, people are like, hadn't thought of that before. I think that's, to me, evidence of like diversity is a measure of that in the way that people think, in the way that they approach a problem and new ideas. And I think it's equally an outlier as the person that is like, well, we've been talking a lot about a person who's a good waiter at a restaurant. You know that they're there, but they're not in your face as well. So I think an outlier is somebody who can, at the same time, bring something new and something really diverse, but at the same time, just be that quiet, calm influence that maybe people don't even know about.
Yeah, brilliant.
For me, I think, it's someone that can sort of balance both like bringing consensus and, agreement, but also like challenging thought and challenging how the norm is. And then, in particularly our space, it's really about like applying that to challenges that customers have in a way that excites and delights them, and maybe gets them to think differently about how they have approached the problem before, and hopefully a way that drives innovation or drives an improvement in what they do end to end. So I think it's generally it brings people together, but also just really challenges the norms of them.
And could you tell us a bit about what Mojo Soup does and how you kind of bring some kind of ally thinking or different thinking and provide value with that?
Yeah, I think Mojo Soup is a digital transformation partner for a lot of customers within Brisbane, but also across Australia. We try to bring our technology tools and our people towards really challenging customer assumptions or challenges that they might have, and delight them with innovative solutions that we want to try and drive either within data and AI or new business apps or SharePoint and other sort of Microsoft-led sort of solutions. And I think we, as a business, have grown to be a trusted partner to many customers through our ways of working and our collaborative design-led approaches.
I think how I'd answer that is like Mojo Soup, like it started as the name of a band at university. So that's where it came from. But Mojo Soup is, when we think about Mojo, it's like the essence of the individual.
Yeah.
And soup, when you make a good soup, you're sort of boiling all these things up together. So Mojo Soup at our best is where expressing the essence of the individuals that are part of whatever you're doing, but expressing that in the eclectic, bringing together many people.
Yeah.
So that's how I think we can outlier in what we do. Like we do digital solutions, but are we seen as the people who can bring the essence of the people around the table who are either architecting that solution, building it, or going to use it?
Yeah.
Can we bring the essence of who they are and express what they want to do in the bringing together of that?
Do you have a way that you go about bringing out that sort of human side when we're so deep in sort of the tech and data and AI? Like, it's easy to get lost. How do we keep it?
Yeah, look, that's really current in our world, because as a digital partner, often it takes a while on the journey. Sometimes they come to us with a predetermined set of requirements. It's like, you're one of many. We've already decided what the problem is.
Yeah.
We need you to now go do this. So our best customers are the ones where we're engaging them right up front around what is the problem they're trying to solve, what's the opportunity they're trying to realize, or they don't even know that yet. So I think our best customers, the best work we do is when we're involved more up front as a partner with them on that journey.
Yeah. And how do you know when to push back or what to push back on, or where to think a bit outside the box? And you can't think outside the box on everything and push back on everything.
I think that is tricky. We're often under a commercial constraints. We often never have the amount of time and effort that we would like to be able to have to generate that. But I think part of the approach just needs to be frank and transparent with our customers. I think that's one thing we do. But the decision is their hands around an innovation or bringing something new to the table in terms of whether we do it or not. But I think discharging our responsibility to bring ideas to the table, give them an understanding of the impact of decisions they're making if we think they're not in the best interest of the project or the outcome, but still be led by them as our customer as well.
Yeah.
So, and I think part of building trust with the customer and acting as a partner over time generates more opportunities to influence that.
Yeah.
So sometimes you don't start there, it's the journey you've been on that allows
Yeah.
you to speak into their situation. Yeah.
Yeah, I would just add, alongside being a trusted partner, it's also about like really sort of providing opportunities for us to work with them in a space that enables more ideation and all free thought and in a structured and way to either design something that they've got a good idea that they want to achieve, or even just envisioning what's possible. To help them, articulate, these are the things that we want to try and do. That here's the key things that are priorities for us, and work through that with them collectively as a delivery partner.
Do you find when you start sort of having those conversations and building trust, it opens up a bit of almost can of worms, and they start wanting a bit more and happier to push the boundaries or change what they thought they wanted?
Yeah, I think if they really buy into the journey, really buy into the outcomes that we're trying to achieve with them, they are more relaxed and more like willing to go ahead with the approach, even though it's not maybe just the way that they decided that they wanted to go. Just like they navigate with us, all the ideas that collectively their business has, because they're not always coming to us the consensus on what that might be. But I think we help people really bring that consensus together and have a shared buy-in of what that outcome is that they're trying to achieve, and the steps that we've got in place to deliver on it.
Yeah. I think inherent, like the way that we deliver, we call it modulity.
I love it.
Yeah. And I think it's the balance of discipline that our customers expect and our teams expect. There's a level of cadence and discipline that we'll bring to it, but at the same time, we're going to be adaptable to those changes. But we're not completely adaptable and we're not completely disciplined. So I think from the feedback we get from customers, they really appreciate us being adaptable and flexible.
Yeah.
But then there's a point where if we're only adaptable and flexible, it becomes too costly or it goes in a different direction. So they love it, but at the same time, so that's on us to then apply, we want to be adaptable. We'll go with that. We'll be open to it. But then the discipline of, well, what's the impact of that? How does that fit in the current context? Can we do it now? Is it something we should do later? It's not saying no to customers. It's saying maybe not yet. Or what about, what can we do in the current constraints together?
Yeah. How do you go about drawing those lines between what's an enabling constraint and, stopping chaos, and what's a limiting constraint and is kind of holding them back?
Yeah.
How are you finding that line?
Oh, yeah. Sometimes you don't know until you're bumping up against, it turns out we should address that. I think on the discipline side, I think things like retrospectives are really helpful.
Yep.
At a regular frequency. The other thing that's really helped us is when we introduced our customer experience program. So someone independent of the project team will have a conversation with our customers, and the insights that come from that are amazing. Because even though, say, I might be working on a project like customer, we're talking all the time and we're asking about feedback, but just the dynamic of somebody who has no ability, if they tried to defend the situation or provide another perspective, they're just there to listen. And that brings out, where do we need to course correct?
That's amazing. It's like all the assumptions you've made are out the window, and
Yeah,
I love it.
Yeah. Like you do. Like you can interpret how a customer's feeling, and it could be way off sometimes, particularly emphasized by the amount of remote work. Like there's not enough information, not enough data for the interaction on screen for us to make a whole view of that. So that's where I think it's more challenging than it was when most of our interactions were in person.
Yeah, brilliant.
Yeah. No, I've just doubled down on that. Our customer experience program probably is a huge differentiator.
Yeah.
Market for us compared to other similar-sized businesses. So, and it's been provided some great insights. It helped us really sort of delight our customers.
And it's challenging because you go, but I talk to that person every day. How come they didn't mention that to me? But again, it's the independent, like check-in.
And I guess you see that as sort of external consultants coming in and doing discovery, and you go out and talk to people and they'll tell you things. They won't tell them their sort of line managers or internal staff. It's really interesting. So it's kind of great that you bring like a consultant into the consulting.
Yes.
Almost. And like as a growing business, how do you keep sort of that essence of Mojo Soup in your Mojility and things like that, while competing and being a viable kind of alternative to sort of the big guys?
Yeah, good one. I think we probably currently lean into our values. And so we're currently we haven't got this right yet, but what we've realized is that the way that we measure performance in our organization is going to drive the behavior that we want. and then they're there for the outcomes of it. And we've realised that we've been on a learning journey, and we've just had 2 days of strategic plan, and one of the big things we've realised the change, actually the way that we're measuring performance needs to be even more aligned to the values, because we know that actually if we live to our values, that's going to drive the behaviour that gets the better outcomes. And there's 2 sides to every good thing we talk about. For example, we do a lot of bespoke solutions. Fantastic. They're really tailored to the customer. There's a negative side of that. There's a flip side that says, well, that's maybe hard to scale and package, and it's not as repeatable. So integrating those 2 sides there. Similarly, we really lean into the people first organisation, but actually we've realised that at times that's having the converse to driving a high performance culture. It's like accountability in a people first world is even more important. And that's probably not surprising to people, but it's been a key insight to me to just realise being human centred and people first actually almost needs more accountability to drive the behaviour after, rather than sometimes it's seen as we've got all this flexibility, we've got all of this adaptability, we've got all of these focus on exactly what the customer wants and keeping them then happy. But the flip side of that is, well, a rounded and well integrated view of that needs that commercial consideration and on top of that.
And I think from the perspective around AI in particular, it's really like, how do you utilize these tools in order to drive some of those values, but also provide people the space through, productivity improvements and other things to enable them to work on, really cool stuff they want to work on, enable them to, delight our customers more, but also for us as a business to be able to scale and grow sustainably. And that's probably our journey into the future is like, how do we enable AI and in everything we do in order to better serve our customers.
Move it from I've got my little sidekick individually and a couple of extra tools in the belt to are we having conversations with our customer along the lines of, well, 12 months ago, if you asked us to do that, it would have taken twice as long and wouldn't be as high quality. Evidence that we're really genuinely integrating AI into our workflow, not just personally, is that the things we did a year ago, we can now do quicker, to a higher quality, and with more innovation.
What do you think people are leaving on the table most with sort of integrating AI? Like, everyone's in the LLMs, but what could people be doing now that they're not?
But the one that comes to mind for me is connecting the different LLMs and tools together. I think that's the immediate opportunity. Certainly for us, there's lots of individual use cases using different tools in the context of that app, or whether it be web dev scenario or meeting recordings, but bringing those together. So the real world one we're doing for ourselves is to balance high traceability that we need, but high adaptability and collaboration. So we know that most of our meetings are recorded and AI is summarizing those. We also know that our tools of DevOps have all the user stories and criteria in them. That's a great opportunity to bring those 2 things together. And DART, we call it, will look after, is there a new requirement, a change to a requirement, some ambiguity that needs to be clarified, and not just summarize that, but assign a task to a human in the loop to verify. Hey, it looks like you have all these high collaboration, which is great for customer experience. We've just compared that to your current set of user stories, acceptance criteria here. Looks like there's some, these ones are all aligned, all good. Looks like there's some new acceptance criteria or a brand new requirement, or maybe this one needs to be looked at further, and then assign some tasks for the human to go and validate that. That's evidence for me and what we do in delivering digital solutions where we want to engage with the customer, highly engage, and then manage our commercial risk and traceability through requirements, user stories, acceptance criteria.
And so much of that can kind of slip through the gaps. That's amazing.
And that's the kind of thing where it needs to typically, people are in the meetings recording the notes, and then they've got to evaluate that, synthesize that, go into the other systems, where's the impact on that, and make the change in there. The easy wins, I think, by joining those 2 functional things together.
I think, it's such a transformational technology that you can pretty much point it towards any challenge. It's really just, what are the challenges that are most important that you want to try and solve, because that is having the biggest impact to your people or your business in general. And trying to be laser focused on, this is what we want to try and adjust and work on, because it's going to provide us what we think is the greatest ROI, working through that problem through an AI lens of let's deliver some value here, and either prove or disprove that it is a great thing to scale into a production solution, and being very targeted in what you do, but also being very, careful, like, be very clear on, like, if it's not working, move to the next one.
Yeah, I was just going to say, what are people leaving on the table sometimes? Just feel like they're just actually not talking about it and sharing the use cases enough.
Yeah.
It's actually, more and reevaluating, like, it's changing so quickly. So like 6 months ago, I might have looked at a particular tool that was helping an area and it was like, oh, no, it was good, but it's a bit cute. Doesn't work today.
Yeah.
But we've just got 6 months on and I had that experience picked up. So I'm like, oh, now it's it. Now I can see it.
Yeah.
So we've got to constantly be challenging ourselves to not sort of make a decision today that says, I've looked at that, therefore it's like constant reevaluation of the tool sets.
Yeah, brilliant. Any closing thoughts on how we stay sort of human-centric and people focused in a data-driven AI world?
I'll be controversial with that one. I think if there was one thing, more in-person time with people.
Yeah.
Because there's the moments, like I said, there's the extra data we get about that. There's the moments where the hairs are sort of standing up on the back of your neck where there's a consensus that's realised or you get to know someone truly. I think that would be
I like it.
my suggestion.
Yeah, I'd probably double down with it. I'd say it's around how do you connect and be together and find those areas to collaborate or work together on problems, balancing the needs and flexibility and other things. But I think, definitely, being targeted how you actually do that human interaction, because I think that human AI interaction and collaboration is where we're all heading.
Yeah.
But we still want to be able to talk to colleagues and friends and
not just their avatar.
No, that's
But interesting. It's an expectation, though, isn't it? Like we were talking about that. It's a new recruit, in you a real person in your business.
Yeah.
And the expectation is like an expectation. When you've got a university degree, you've got experience and skills in a certain area. Your capacity right now and ability to grow that in leveraging AI is an expectation.
Yeah.
And I think that was just that announcement from the new CEO of Amazon saying if you're a white collar worker and you're not currently using these tools, there's a real genuine threat to your future employment.
Yeah, it's a whole new world.
It is.
It's exciting, mate.
It is. Yeah,
it's
it's what's ahead of us.
Brilliant.
We get to do it.
Awesome. Well, David, Jared, thank you for joining us.
Thank you.
Mojo Soup. It's great to have you here at Outlier and talking about people and data and tech and making things better for people. Thanks
for the opportunity.
Pleasure.